everyone, my name is Aspen Dudzic and I am your host for Forestry Talks, a podcast that explores all things forestry in Alberta. I'm here today at the beautiful Fairmont Jasper Park Lodge in Jasper, Alberta, and we're here to celebrate our annual general meeting and conference for the Alberta Forest Products Association. I've got some great guests that are going to join me for the show this week. You're going to love them. I can't wait to share them with you. Welcome back, everyone. I'm excited to have another great podcast conversation to share with you, recording at the Jasper Park Lodge here at our AGM and conference. I'm so thrilled to be joined with the Honourable Minister of Forestry and Parks, Minister Todd Loewen. How are you doing this morning?
Really good, really good. It's been a great couple days here with the AFPA at Jasper Park Lodge, and really enjoying it. So great people, great organization, and it's been a good time.
Well, I'm so thrilled to hear that. And Minister, is this your first time joining us for the conference?
I've attended parts of the conference in the past, but this is the first time to attend the whole thing. So, and that's been well worth it for sure. Yeah,
wonderful. What has this week looked like for you? I know, of course, you gave us a wonderful keynote address last night, but I've seen you kind of running around the conference throughout. So what's been going on for you this week?
Well, there's always lots of meetings with stakeholders and different industry partners that we have, and also different communities that have come and joined in this conference. And so it's great because you can, I don't know, I think Mr. Cripps, he calls it speed dating. Yeah. Where, it's, we have a room that I can meet in, and organizations and industry leaders just keep coming in one after another, and we have those meetings, and it's just a great time to have everybody together and to have those conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure lots of stuff to learn as well. Of course, I know that you know lots about the industry already, but how long have you been in this role with Forestry and Parks?
So almost a year now.
Almost a year.
Yeah. So, and it's, but it's, the learning never ends.
Yeah.
Every meeting I have, every meeting I attend, I always learn something. And it's, it's great being here because we have the industry leaders, we have the people that are professionals in the field, and always something to learn from their experience on the landscape and their experience in their business for years and years.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was your exposure to the forest industry prior to this work?
Previously to being elected, I was an outfitter, so I spent a lot of time on the land and out in the forest area. So that's been, kind of my experience in the outdoors. But as far as directly with the forest industry, not a lot of experience there, but definitely being able to interact with people on the landscape and seeing the good work that the forest industry has done on the landscape in Alberta for decades. I've been able to see that firsthand in my travels in the woods.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful to hear, and I think you're among great company here because it's a common thread among the folks that work in the forest industry. Is we work here because we love to recreate here too, right? So if you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Everybody I'm talking to, I mean, when they're not working, they're playing in the outdoors too, and so that deep appreciation, not just for their own, for the business and for the economy and for the people that work for their companies, but it's themselves too, that they enjoy that opportunity. And so their care for the landscape is not just business, it's personal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Todd, I'm wondering if you could share with me what have been some of the most memorable moments for you learning about the forest industry in your time in the last year?
Well, obviously one of the biggest things was the fire season.
Yes.
And of course that was a pretty steep learning curve, and it started off early. Mm-hmm. And started off strong. In fact, of course, we've had the worst fire season that we've ever had in Alberta history. So that's been a lot to learn, a lot to grasp, and to understand. We have good people working in Alberta wildfire, and it was great to have the industry help along the way. They were able to provide us with contractors and equipment and things like that, and that experience that they have on the landscape. But when we look at the wildfire season we've had, we've lost over 2 million hectares of land. And that's been this been catastrophic wildfire season. There's no doubt. Lots to learn there, and again, getting into that as a new minister was again a very steep learning curve.
Yeah, I can certainly imagine that. I mean, it's a wildfire season for the record book. Yep. And a lot of Albertans were really, really deeply impacted by what happened this summer.
Yeah. The amount of evacuations that we've had across the province, it's heart-wrenching to see people's lives disrupted like that. Some of the communities have had to be away from their homes for weeks and even months, and a lot of homes lost, and seeing the people's have to go through that kind of catastrophe in their lives it's been tough to see firsthand.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, not even just the fire season this summer, but we were also seeing some crazy floods. Were you involved? Was your department involved with that at all?
Not directly with the floods, but again, it just seemed like some of these communities, it just went from fire to flood, just almost seemingly overnight. Within a week or so, it went from evacuated from fire to evacuated from flood, and I can't imagine how the people have been their lives disrupted like that. It's obviously very damaging.
Yeah, it was a bit of a neck-breaking pace.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly.
So looking forward to next year and what the summer might have for us in store, and what kind of opportunities there might be to respond or to use certain mitigation tools. What do you see as kind of opportunities there?
We'll definitely be doing a departmental review on our response to wildfire, and AFBA will be providing us some input on that too. We look forward to seeing that, and that's so that we can start working on changing things for next wildfire season. And there'll be a larger review, a third-party review, but those reviews take more time. Mm-hmm. But we want to be able to do a review, internal review immediately, so that we can make changes on the fly and make sure that we're ready for next fire season. I think there'll be a fair amount of changes. The preparation that we need to be, and it seems like with the changing weather patterns and everything, we need to be prepared earlier. And it seems like in Alberta, our big fire month is May.
Yeah.
And so we need to be prepared in May to go full bore. And so there's definitely a willingness in government to change things and see what we can do to make things better moving forward.
Yeah. One of the things that I observe about any of these types of tragedies, they're heartbreaking, but heartwarming in a sense that there's really nothing that brings a community and a province and industry and public and government together more than responding to issues like these in a time of crisis.
Exactly. It's been amazing to see how communities come together and help each other and individuals, and there was just so much help offered from around the province and actually across Canada and around the world.
Absolutely.
And I'm still seeing it today. I'm seeing business organizations just outside the city of Edmonton, Atchison. They want to help. They're asking me, okay, what can we do to help some of these people that have lost everything?
Yeah.
And so it's good to see that. And again, it just still continues, and I think that's part of the Alberta spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That people are just so willing to help and put everything they can in to help their neighbor and their fellow people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Switching gears a little bit, what are some of the other learnings about forestry in Alberta that have been really memorable or stood out for you?
I think one thing, and I'm sorry I kind of bring it back to wildfire again, but we've seen the effects of wildfire, but we've also seen the effects of proper forest management on wildfire. And when we look across our landscape, a lot of the places that had burned, and I got to see it myself, right? From a helicopter while the fires were happening, and seeing how fire reacts when it hits a previously forested area, and how the fire subdues, way easier to handle. In fact, it takes out sometimes miles of the fire front line by having that forest management that we have. So I think that's one of the main things too, and it's something that I've been able to talk to people all across the province on, is the importance of proper forest management that our forest industry does, and how it deters catastrophic wildfire. Now, wildfire is something that's always been on our landscape, but this catastrophic wildfire where we have these timber stands that are over mature, and so we need to be able to have this proper forest management, which is what our forest industry does, that'll help contain some of this catastrophic wildfire.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really makes the case that we need to take care of the trees, right?
Yeah, we've protected the land from wildfire to protect the forests and everything, and that's been great. But we need to make sure that our management continues so that we don't create this situation where we have excessive fuels in the forest that creates that opportunity for catastrophic wildfire.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. So we know that wildfire review and planning is a big part of your role and probably what's taking up a lot of your days. But what might some of the other priorities be for you and your team?
When we look, we want to make sure that we have a stable and secure fiber supply for our forest industry. That's something that's very important to us. We know it's important to the communities. We know it's important to the businesses. These businesses in this industry employ a lot of Albertans. I think 17,000 Albertans directly, and we know that's important to those communities. So we know that secure fiber supply is something that the industry needs to know is there. Mm-hmm. And of course, and I'm sorry, again, I'm going back to wildfire.
No problem.
We know that there's been a substantial loss due to wildfire, and but we know the companies are already working hard to try to take some of that burnt timber off the landscape, and that's important too. And so that fiber security is kind of a priority for us to make sure that we do our best to make sure that fiber security is there for industry to be able to know that when they invest and then that they'll have future investment and know that they can have a return on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, your note about the economy, I'm wondering, were you surprised when you started learning a little bit about the forest industry, about like what a big role it actually does play within Alberta's economy? Yeah,
and I think that's something that's probably, somewhat lost with the general public in Alberta. A lot of people may understand it, but there's a lot that probably don't understand how important this industry is to Alberta, to all Albertans, but in particular rural Albertans in some communities mm-hmm. where it's really focused. And some of these communities rely on the forest industry for the employment and for keeping their communities active and alive. And so no, it's good to see. It is eye-opening to see the true effects on the economy across the province, and I guess that's what makes it more a greater ability to appreciate what the forest industry does.
Yeah, absolutely. And your comments remind me, yesterday I had a great conversation with Terry Ungary, and he's the Reeve of the County of Northern Lights. Yeah. And we were remarking about some of the indirect economic benefits. So you talked about the jobs that are directly resulting from forestry activity, but never mind, you have to think about all that activity in Northern Alberta. What about the communities that come out of it, and the restaurant jobs and all of those communities that are sustained by that economic activity? I think it's one of those things where we need more people to come up there and check it out. And
yeah, exactly. No, and that's exactly it. It's again, some of these communities really depend on the forest industry. And I was talking to Mackenzie County, and of course they just became the 2023 National Forest community. I'm not sure the exact term, but they just won this award yesterday, and great to see a community like that win that national award. But a lot of their community, they're focused in agriculture, mm-hmm. but in the winter they're working in the forest industry,
right?
And so they can help develop using both seasons, basically the farming season and the forestry season in the wintertime. Keeps them busy and keeps their families fed and keeps the economy going in that community. So it's kind of a great relationship between different industries and working together, and people taking advantage of both and being able to keep busy year round and help develop their communities and their families.
Yeah, definitely. It's remarkable. I want to come back to one of the comments you made earlier about a little bit about investment. And are you familiar with some of the do not buy campaigns that are coming out of the States?
Yeah. It seems like there's always different organizations that probably don't fully understand the industry and the importance of it. And I look at some of these movements that are started, and if we look at the movement against let's say plastics, for instance, and so we've overall there's a movement to say, okay, we don't want to use plastic forks, we don't want to use plastic wrap, we don't want to use plastic mm-hmm. bags, all these different things. And so there's the suggestion, and what the movement has done is changed to wood products. Wooden forks and knives, mm-hmm. spoons, paper straws, paper bags, but those same people that are protesting the plastic are now protesting the forest products.
Right.
It's like, okay, where do you want us to go here then? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you don't like plastic and you don't like wood, where are we at? So it's interesting that I think there's a bit of a disconnect there where some people don't seem to understand the importance of, if you feel it's important to move away from plastics, then you should be supporting the forest industry and not lobbying against it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm wondering if there's one thing that you could share with Albertans about the forest industry that don't know about it already. What would you share?
I guess I would say that there's probably a couple things. I guess one being the importance on the landscape and the importance of building a resilient forest and building that and creating that biodiversity. When we look at forest as the past history of the forest in Alberta, forest fires and wildfire was common, and that was a way to rejuvenate the forest and create that biodiversity. And of course, during our time of settlement in Alberta, we've hindered wildfire, and by doing that, we have the perfect opportunity to recreate that wildfire activity on the landscape with reforestation, with harvesting the older timber and then reforesting. So I think that's one thing I think that Albertans and people all around the world should understand. And we do have a forest industry that's second to none in the world as far as their environmental standards and how they operate.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's great to hear that you're such a strong champion for our sector, and we so appreciate the work that you and your team does.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, it's easy to support an industry that's doing great work and it continues to improve. And it's interesting, you would think once they hit a certain point, they'd say, okay, we're doing great. Let's relax and just do business, but no, they're constantly looking for ways to do things better.
Yeah, absolutely. We heard lots about having a culture of continuous improvement over the weekend, and I had some great conversations about some of the innovation that's going on in the sector, and this drive to continue to do better. Have you had an opportunity to learn much about some of the innovation and some of the products and the value-added products that come out of the industry? Yeah,
so it's actually interesting in a conference like this, you get to meet a lot of different individuals and hearing so much about the things that they're doing differently and the products that they're producing from forest products. It's actually amazing to see all the different things that are going on. Again, they have a bit of the trade show here too, so we got these companies from all around the world here advertising and showing the technology that our forest industry is using here. And it's amazing. We got this drone technology is incredible. I was touring a mill here just last week and seeing the scanners that check each board as it goes through and grades it and everything. And I can't remember what it does about 2 boards a second or something like that. Crazy. Flying through this mill, and it's basically taking a picture of all 4 sides of this board and analyzing it and determining its quality and deciding where it's going in the bin when it comes out to the other end of the factory. So it is amazing to see this technology and innovation that happens here, and it's great.
Yeah, and I think it's really surprising. Frankly, I know for myself, prior to my work with the AFPA, I was also one of those people that had this perception that the forest industry might have been a little bit more low tech. And frankly, I just didn't really know a ton about it to begin with. And so I've been really fortunate in this role to get to learn a little bit more about some of the stuff that's going on and to see that, holy smokes, we're using drones and we're using artificial intelligence and like all of these crazy things. It's actually really remarkable once you start to get a little bit more exposed to what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah, the industry has changed so much from 100 years ago. What we perceived as loggers and forestry operations then, and I think it's actually great to look back at those pictures and see that kind of history. I'm always excited to see that, but it is a dramatic change to what we see right now and in the industry. And again, I'm always amazed at their focus on things like biodiversity, resilience, and just making sure that what they leave on the landscape is good for the future. And that's what they're looking at. They're looking at, they want to have their operations going for hundreds of years. Yeah. They're planning 200 years, looking at things 200 years out. And there's not too many industries that are looking that far ahead.
No, I know. But find me another one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it is really, really incredible. And you touched on a lot of kind of different jobs or genres of career opportunities in the sector. And I think yesterday you might have mentioned something about our Work Wild program. Yeah. Something that I have loved so much as being a part of that process is we get to go into classrooms and chat with students about what they know about forestry and what kind of jobs we think exist. And, the first job that comes to mind for everybody is a lumberjack, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Somebody all in plaid, and don't get me wrong, I do own my fair share of plaid.
Yeah.
But,
I love it too.
Right. I know, you can't go wrong. It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
But, somebody wearing plaid, perhaps with a big beard, maybe carrying an axe over their shoulder and going to chop down trees all day. And so I love when I get to go into these classrooms and say, well, hi, like my name's Aspen. I work in communications. I host a podcast, for crying out loud. And I work in forestry, right? And I mean, we've got these incredible biologists and engineers and, a lot of really brilliant people that are a part of the sector and get to make this magic happen and be part of our sustainable forest management plan.
Yeah, no, and it was good. I got to go and visit with some of the junior forest rangers.
Yes, you mentioned that.
Yeah, the Bull of the Woods competition. And great to see those young adults out there just enjoying the outdoors and learning about the industry, and also great to meet some of the college university students that were here last night too. So and interesting enough, I think every single one of them came up to me to say hi, and awesome. It was good to see that. I got to ask them, what part of the industry they would like to get into and everything, and so that was great to see, and it's great to see AFPA thinking of those students and making sure, supporting the junior forest rangers and all those different good programs that are out there to help bring in young people into the industry.
Yeah. What gets you excited about the young people that are up and coming and maybe going to come into the forest industry and opportunities for the future? Yeah,
you know what? It's we just know that when you bring in a younger generation, that they're going to bring new ideas and we're going to come up with even better ways to do things. And so I think it's great. We have the experience out there, the people that have been doing this for, some of these family businesses have been generations, 2, 3, 4 generations of forestry in their family background. And so that experience meeting these young minds that can think of different ways to do things. And I think it's just looks like a great future going forward for the forest industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Minister, this has been a lot of fun. I'm so thrilled that you were able to join me for the podcast.
Well, thank you.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I think we've covered a lot of good things, and I just think that the forest industry again is they're doing great work. They continue to improve, and we need to appreciate the world-class industry that we have right here in our province and the good people that run it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and we so appreciate you and your team's work to be such strong champions for our industry.
No problem. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me for another episode of Forestry Talks, a podcast that explores all things forestry in Alberta. We've got some more great guests lined up for our AGM this week. Stay tuned for more, and if you're curious to learn even more about forestry in Alberta, check out our website, loveabforest.ca. I'm your host, Aspen Dudzic, and I'll see you next time.
This series is proudly produced by the team at Road 55. Road 55 creates content that connects. For more information, check our website, www.road55.ca.